Happy Halloween, everyone. Now, I know you don't know who this is, and going against all superhero code, I'm not going to wear this all night. So I will reveal my secret identity if I can do that without taking my headphone. No, I can't. There we go. I think Batman's biggest talent is, oh, thanks, Igor. We can hear you and see you. Ugh. I think Batman's biggest talent is to be able to not only turn his head effectively in that costume, but see out of those slits. I mean, forget everything else he's good at. All the martial arts, being better at everybody in the world at just about everything, the high IQ. Looking out of those slits in that mask is his biggest talent. Anyway, happy Halloween, everyone. I hope you're having or had a nice Halloween. Read you something very short from Ray Bradbury's The October Country to start us off tonight. All right, you probably know what I'm going to read. October Country. I'm going to put it in the light here. That country where it is always turning late in the year. That country where the hills are fog and the rivers are mist. Where noons go quickly, dusks and twilights linger, and midnights stay. That country composed in the main of cellars, subcellars, coal bins, closets, attics, and pantries faced away from the sun. That country whose people are autumn people, thinking only autumn thoughts, whose people passing at night on the empty walks sound like rain. If you've not read Ray Bradbury's The October Country, you definitely should, but really, it's almost redundant because just so much of Ray Bradbury's work just evokes autumn and Halloween. I mean, Something Wicked This Way Comes um, is obviously set in the fall. The movie, I maybe it's nostalgia talking, but I've always felt that they did a really great job with the movie. Um, Something Wicked This Way Comes. Um, on the news line here, we have a headline for you from my hometown. It's Halloween, and this Iowa city is finally letting kids trick or treat tonight after more than 85 years. Now you're like, but Mike, wait, you said that trick or treating is really big in Des Moines. It is, only it's usually done on October the 30th, or it's always done on October the 30th, except for apparently this year. Now, this is from CNN. They can feel free to slap a lawsuit on me for reading some of this article. Children in Des Moines, Iowa will go trick-or-treating on Halloween night for the first time in 85 years. Unlike the majority of the country, communities in the Des Moines metro area go trick-or-treating during Beggar's Night, the day before Halloween, thanks to a policy turned tradition dating back to the 1930s. This year, severe weather forced the city to break with tradition and push the festivity to Halloween. Beggar's Night saw thunderstorms and fog. What's wrong with that? While Halloween is forecast to see prime conditions with no rain and temperatures in the 40s and 50s, quite balmy for Des Moines this time of year. And I would love to see temperatures in the 40s down here in Texas. Quote, to my knowledge, it has never been moved or canceled since it was established after Halloween in 1938, Assistant City Manager Jen Schulte told the AP. Uh, Last paragraph I'll read is, the Beggar's Night celebration can be traced back to a particularly crime-ridden Halloween in 1938. Ah, yes, I remember it well. According to the State Historical Society of Iowa, that night, Des Moines police answered 550 reports of vandalism, teenagers setting fires, breaking windows, sidelining streetcars, and, well, general mayhem on Twitter, it says. I made up that last one. Anyway, that's nice to see. You go, Des Moines. You guys are trick-or-treating tonight. So how's everybody doing? Yeah, Dave, it was me. I'm sorry if I fooled you, man. It wasn't Batman. As far as you know. Donna's DVD, Something Wicked This Way Comes, arrives on Monday. Yeah, it's, was it, I mean, you don't have to say, but was it expensive? I haven't looked it up. I've just had this DVD forever. Um, Speaking of DVDs, another Halloween tradition that I like to talk about, mini tradition, you can't you can't stream either. You can't stream Something Wicked This Way Comes unless I see it occasionally on YouTube, although not in the best, uh, not in the highest quality. The other DVD tradition is Millennium Season 2, the episode titled The Curse of Frank Black. Now, if you've not seen this episode, I mean, even if you've not seen any other Millennium episodes, you got to see this. I mean, by all means, watch Millennium. It's only 3 seasons, but watch it. But if you want to see the first maybe 3 minutes of it to get a sense of what I mean, I've got it on this channel. Just Google The Curse of Frank Black, Lovecraft Easy, maybe on YouTube. Not Google it, YouTube it. So, all right, for you live folks, let me know that you can still see me and hear me. $22. Yeah, that is a bargain, Donna. That's great. All right. All right, here's another article. This concerns Bram Stoker. Here's the headline from Smithsonianmag.com. Amateur historian discovers lost story by Dracula author Bram Stoker hiding in plain sight at a Dublin library. History forgot about it for more than a century until a fan of the Gothic horror writer stumbled upon the haunting tale, at the National Library of Ireland. Apparently this story is titled Gibbet Hill, and I looked for it, and they did a scan of it online. You can find it online. The article starts, in 1890, a short ghost story by Irish writer Bram Stoker, who had published Dracula 7 years later, ran in the Dublin Daily Express. I think it's Dublin, actually. The haunting tale titled Gibbet Hill was then forgotten. For more than 130 years, the piece remained in the shadows until a clinical pharmacist chanced upon it at the National Library of Ireland. Brian Clearly, a longtime fan of Stoker, was browsing the library's archives last year when he noticed an 1891 advertisement in the Dublin Daily Press. The ad referenced a previously published story by Stoker, leading Cleary to an issue that had been printed a few weeks earlier on December 17th, 1890, which contained Gibbet Hill in full. So basically, I guess Dublin Daily Express subscribers were able to read that, well, I wouldn't say for free, but for the price of the issue. So yeah. All right, so if you're watching live, tell me what you did today. Tell me what you did tonight. to celebrate Halloween? Did you take your kids out trick-or-treating? Did you, if your kids had grown up, did you hide in the shrubbery and scare all the other kids? Did you yell, "Get off my lawn"? Did you dress up? Yeah, what'd you do? Um, we usually do not get trick-or-treaters here in Texas. And I went inside the house a few minutes ago, and my wife told me that we had three, which is three more than we've had in 13 years of living in Texas. So I'm very encouraged. So Alan says trick-or-treating downtown, then back in our neighborhood. How was it? Did your kids have fun? Igor handed out candy. That's all good. You guys are lucky. I missed that. So anyway, look up Gibbet Hill. Actually, I think I can give you the link in the side chat here. Not to the article, but to the story. There you go. So there's Gibbet Hill. And all right, let's talk about books for a second, and then about movies. Halloween books and Halloween movies. Well, I've mentioned Ray Bradbury already. And the same is true of his short stories, of his novels. So yeah. Oh, Dave says I am looking forward to listening to an old Art Bell Ghost to Ghost later tonight. Hey, Dave, I might do that too. Thanks for the thanks for the idea. Let me write that down. Ghost to Ghost. Those are always entertaining. Donna says watch Kate Bush and Nick Cave videos. All the trick-or-treat action is a few blocks from here. Hundreds of kids. If you guys saw the show on Sunday, then we did a Halloween show with the panelists, with some patrons, and Matt Carpenter. We were talking about favorite Halloween memories, and Matt Carpenter was talking about the hundreds of kids that were on the streets when he grew up, and which I think might have been the 1930s. I pray to God Matt never watches this. Let's see. Matt's about 10 years older than me, so I'm guessing he grew up in the late 60s, early 70s. So, but I'm glad to hear that still exists in parts of the country. It's really great. Igor, you beat me to it. I was going to mention Scott Thomas. All of his writing really evokes that autumn feeling. And of course, you're right about M.R. James. Um, I've not seen Cabin in the Woods since I watched it in the theater when it first came out, so I guess I'm due for a rewatch. Igor, as a matter of fact, I have this right in front of me. Sea of Ash, Scott Thomas, and I published this, but there's a reason I did. For those of you who haven't read it, it's a novella, and I published it because in its previous printing, only a few people had read it, relatively speaking, and I really thought it deserved um, a wider audience. So I'm not touting it because I published it per se. I published it because I loved it, which is a key difference. A Victorian Englishman summons a strange puppet-like being to an old colonial inn. A doctor returns from the Great War and discovers a mysterious naked woman at the edge of the Atlantic. A contemporary collector of arcane books retraces the steps of these other men, adventurers who sought out the mysteries of neighboring dimensions. In the Sea of Ash, Scott Thomas takes us along as three men from three different centuries experience the wonders and horrors of an unknown New England. A quote from the Sea of Ash. Never had the universe felt so vast, and I so small within it. I had through circumstance been made aware of something, but of what? Something either too horrible or too beautiful for humans to know. You can get that in print on Kindle, and you can listen to it on Audible. There's a really good I love the audio edition. All right. So speaking of Batman, my costume, if you're a Batman fan and an Autumn fan, which at least you're probably at least an Autumn fan, this is a pretty interesting little book. Batman Fear Itself by a fellow by the name of Michael Reeves. And it's set in autumn. It's very much Halloween themed. And let me read the first paragraph and you'll see what I mean. It was autumn in Gotham City. This in itself was not surprising. The world turned on its axis and the seasons changed, especially in this northeastern corner of the country. It was the last week in October, and the trees along Blake Boulevard were brilliant, every one of them, with scarlet, auburn, burgundy, and other rich colors. The air was still and crisp. Every drawn breath promised winter. The sky was remarkably clear, the pale shade of a little boy's blanket that had been washed many times. And Brian, you ever read Sea of Ash yet? Yeah, you'll like it, man. Of course, I'm always amazed at people who haven't gotten around to this yet. I'm not saying that in a sneering way. I'm just saying if you haven't hit this in your TBR yet, A Night in the Lonesome October, you'll really like it. A lot of people, it's got 31 chapters, so it's a tradition for a lot of people to read a chapter a day starting on October the 1st. Which, hey, Kim, which I believe Kim Smeltzer is one of those people. Illustrated by Gan Wilson, by the way. This edition, anyway. I don't know about other editions. I think most of them. Here's illustration from the book. One of them. I believe that's also on Audible these days. This October Dreams 1 and October Dreams 2, both editions were given to me by friends. They're expensive, but if you can find them and if you can afford them, they are wonderful. And they not only have, edited by Rich Chismar, by the way, and Robert Morrish, and they not only have Halloween short stories, but they have something they call My Favorite Halloween Memories from various writers, and it's a really, really neat idea. And I talked about this on Tuesday. In fact, I read the first chapter of this on Tuesday, but pick up The Night Country by Stuart Onan. And if you missed Tuesday, go back and watch that if you get time, because if you listen to me read chapter 1 and you really like it, then you'll enjoy the rest of the book as well. Read with permission. So, yeah, I didn't get to as much as I might have usually gotten to today because I don't know, I've got some kind of stomach virus. But I was really looking forward to hearing what you guys have done. It sounds like a lot of you had a great Halloween. Donna, you ordered what? The October Dreams or something else? Excuse me. And then, oh, The Night Country, right. And then Ironically, my pumpkin back there with the electric light in it chooses this day out of the year to burn out. I think you guys can usually see that behind me. Um, I'm gonna have to do a tour of this office. Right over here, I can see, but this office is sort of Halloween and autumn all the time. What I'm looking at right now is one wall that I'll just describe. I won't describe the whole place to you. Maybe I'll do a photo tomorrow. But there's a Samheim print by Dan Sauer, Sauer. It's really nice, from Jackanapes Press. You can buy it too, if you Google that. And then next to it is a it's like one of those calendars that display only today's date, but it always says 31 October, all days of the year. So it's always October 31 in here. And then next to that is the CBS Radio Mystery Theater, which ran from 1974 to 1982, which I grew up listening to for several years, and um, which you can find online. And I'm very nostalgic about that. Some great episodes, some campy, hokey episodes, but it's definitely worth uh, your while if you're into that sort of thing. But the other thing I was going to say is, I've got sort of some more Halloween books back there. I've got more by Scott Thomas. I've got a whole shelf of Charles Grant and a whole shelf of Bradbury. So it gives you an idea of my preferences. Man, I'm getting old. Revival, yeah. Revival, that book is not for the faint of heart, but it's very, very good. Very, very good. I was looking at popular popular Halloween movies. Top picks. And I'm going to have to go ahead and disagree with some of these and agree with the rest. I'll just wow, the number one is the new Salem's Lot movie. I'll go ahead and disagree with that one. But strictly Halloween, though, not just horror, or at least extremely Halloween themed. Excuse me. Trick or Treat. I love that film. Halloween. I don't think anyone can argue with that. And I think Carpenter not only did a great job with the film, which goes without saying, but with taking a California town and making it look like Illinois in the fall. Um, Beetlejuice in the sequel, which I've not seen. Have you guys seen Hell House LLC? I know it's an old film, but I haven't gotten to it in. I just haven't gotten to it. Let's see here. I was looking for. I remember some from when Logan was young that I really loved. And Halloween Town was one of them. Of course, Scooby Doo. Anytime he wanted to watch Scooby Doo, I was right there, man. All right, here we go. This list here is a little bit better. Nightmare Before Christmas, of course. Halloween Town, there it is. Um, it's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, of course. Casper, yes. Late Night with the Devil, no. It's a good movie, but not a Halloween movie. It's a horror movie, I suppose. A little overhyped. Sleepy Hollow, yeah, very much so. And then I would like to get into, oh, Coraline. Scares the hell out of my wife. The original Salem's Lot is not a Halloween movie, but man, that scares the hell out of her too. Um, I'd like to get into a few picks of mine for if you're looking for horror movies. Yeah, it's better than the Rob Lowe version, Kim, but that's a really low bar, man. Anyone seen Smile 2 yet? I might stay up late tonight and watch Smile 2. I uh I thought Smile, the first Smile was damn good. Oddity is the first pick I'll throw at you in case you haven't been listening to me for the last 2 months. I interviewed the director a few weeks back on this channel. Long legs, of course. I think everybody on the nation likes that. I'd like to know also if you guys have seen a movie called Cuckoo, a new movie. Cuckoo. Now, this movie, it looks like it could go one way or the other, but the trailer is just absolutely terrifying. I mean, wow. Now, big thumbs up on this horror movie. If you've not seen The Dark and the Wicked, that that's a great film. It's not necessarily a film that's going to explain everything, if you know that going into it. But a lot of that is what weird fiction is about. I'm not saying this film is necessarily weird fiction, but weird fiction is, to me at least, much of it is this really weird slash scary slash strange thing happened, and I can't explain it. The end. That's weird fiction. Now you ask 10 other people in the horror community what weird fiction is, and they'll probably say 10 other things, but there you go. I hear good things about You Won't Be Alone, but I haven't seen it yet. And then let's see if I can find some classic recommendations here. I really have a soft spot. Uh, Dark Was the Night. Not, I don't have a soft spot for Dark Was the Night. Someone just mentioned that. Dark Was the Night. Let's see what. Oh, haven't seen it. That's why. Was it good? Must have been good. I have a soft spot for Ash versus the Evil Dead. As a matter of fact, Ash has paid a personal visit tonight. There he is. So, thank you for coming in, Ash. Appreciate it. Just sit over there for right now. Army of Dart. And when did they put the hearts on these live chat things? That's cool. That's awesome. Now I'll always know if I'm doing okay or not. Lovely, dark, and deep. I've heard both things. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, oh, that's interesting. Okay, I'm going to switch topics here in a second, but I just want to throw out another couple of recommendations. I I enjoyed a film. I'm not going to say it was great, but I enjoyed a film called You Should Have Left, um, starring Kevin Bacon. I thought that was pretty good, and I had high hopes for a movie called Watcher, which stars the current reigning scream queen. Well, if I can remember her name, that'd be great. Make Monroe. Antlers, no. It was. It looked like it would be good, but I have to say that it did not fulfill the promise of the trailer. And man, we waited for that thing forever to land. What are the Terrifier movies about, Alan? I don't. Kevin Bacon has become the Laurence Olivier of horror. Let's see here. Well, I'll always throw out. Um, One second. I'll always throw out Lake Mungo as one of my favorite horror films. Not found footage, but more of a faux documentary. And I like looking up stuff like this currently here in Texas because it gives me the feeling that the whole country hasn't forgotten about Halloween or things like trick-or-treating and hasn't been reduced to things like trunk-or-treating in church parking lots. But this title from Good Housekeeping, you didn't know I read Good Housekeeping. 19 best Halloween towns that go all out for the spooky holiday. What's Lake Mungo about, Darren? Lake Mungo is about a girl who drowns in a lake. That's a pretty basic explanation, but really, you should really just go into it, and the less you know, the better. It's pretty creepy. So apparently some of the best towns in the United States are St. Helens, Oregon, Sleepy Hollow, New York, Telluride, Colorado, and then Anoka, Minnesota, boldly deeming itself the Halloween capital of the world. The town hosts a 103-year-old annual festival in October, full of a calendar of events, from a pumpkin way off to a Halloween paint night to prove it. When you watch movies like Trick or Treat, I always wonder, man, do towns like that exist? And apparently they do. I was watching on YouTube live um, the Halloween parade or whatever it's called. That was pretty cool to watch for a while. And then, of course, Salem, Massachusetts. And I'm not going to list all of these, but it's interesting. For example, it's not just New England. It's um, places like Tombstone, Arizona, which of course is going to put its own spin on Halloween. Has Halloween programming from October 19th through October 31st. Now, all of this isn't going to help you in 2024, but maybe it'll help you in 2025. I think it would be neat to visit one of these towns for Halloween. I see none of these are in Texas, so okay, proving my point again. Anoka, Minnesota is believed to be the first city in the United States to put on a Halloween celebration to divert its youngsters from Halloween pranks. When Anokans awoke to find their cows roaming Main Street, windows soaked, and outhouses tipped over, don't you hate it when that happens? They decided something had to be done. But what? A costume parade and block party seemed like the perfect trick. See what they did there? Halloween became a wonderful distraction for our town for generations to come, and we wouldn't have it any other way. This is from anokahalloween.com/history. So this is pretty neat. They got a timeline back from the 20s. Did anyone get their outhouse turned over today? Why is what not being used in every horror movie ever? To hell you ride? Is that what you mean? Oh man. You know, I might have to read. For those of you who don't know, I read a horror story every Tuesday night live right here. It's at 10 Eastern instead of 11 Eastern like it is here on Thursdays. But I might have to read this Gibbet Hill, or is it Gibbet Hill? I better find out if I'm going to read it. Yeah, it's interesting. A few $100 car repair bill. That's a fun treat, fun trick. Um, all right, so I'm going to selfishly recommend another book. It's called Autumn Cthulhu. If you haven't read it, it's a book of short stories of weird fiction and cosmic horror. And I am going to read. I edited the book, for those who don't know, a few years back. Maybe I'll even do a number 2 someday. Uh, but it's got stories by authors like Laird Barron, Nadia Bolkin, John Langan, Richard Gavin, Gemma Files, Joe Pulver, Pete Rollick, Damien Angelica Walters. The first story is called The Night is a Sea by Scott Thomas, and it's set in the same world as the Sea of Ash. So, if that'll draw a few of you in, it's available in print, Kindle, uh, and not on Audible. It's available on print and Kindle. Just where can you buy Autumn Cthulhu? Just on Amazon. You can get the Kindle version or you can get the print version. Just go in there and type Autumn Cthulhu. Now, I obtained the editor's permission, just so you know, to read the introduction. So I'm going to do that now. I've always felt that introductions to horror anthologies or anthologies in general, that's not why people bought the book. So I kept mine short. So here we go. Introduction by Mike Davis. That's me. Halloween, 1977. 2 months previously, my family had moved from Texas to Iowa. I was 6 years old, used to hot Octobers and Halloweens that still felt like summer. This was different. It was dusk. I exited our house and was completely unprepared by the scene that greeted me. Everywhere, costumed creatures roamed the neighborhood. A chill was in the air. Red and orange leaves whispered to me from the sidewalk, from the street. I could smell a wood fire. A cold, light rain was falling. It was beautiful and sad and mysterious and lonely, and I couldn't take my eyes off of it. A longing suddenly filled my heart, a feeling that I didn't understand, but that somehow felt right. I knew that this was me. I think this was the moment that I became what Ray Bradbury called an autumn person, thinking only autumn thoughts. I fell in love with the fall, with Halloween, and almost 40 years later, that hasn't changed. Sidebar, it's now been far more than 40 years later. Though I read voraciously throughout my childhood, I didn't discover Lovecraft until my early 20s. Since then, it has slowly dawned on me that autumn and cosmic horror are a natural fit. Halloween, after all, is a time when the veils between worlds are the thinnest, and when the OC, I'm probably not saying that right, could more easily enter our world. And what are they? Many scholars believe that they are versions of ancient gods. Sounds pretty Lovecraftian to me. In this book, you'll visit a house that is haunted, but not by ghosts. You'll take a scary walk in the autumn woods. You'll discover the horrors of living on a cul-de-sac, witness the beginning of the end of the world, and meet an actual monster. You may even spy Andy Kaufman. He's creeping through the trees. Is it fall as you read this? Maybe, maybe not. But no matter the time of year, in my heart, it's always autumn, and it's always raining. I guess you feel the same way. Autumn is the best time of the year. as Lawrence Block wrote, but it's also the saddest because winter is coming. And then you're off to the races with a story by Scott Thomas titled The Night is the Sea. Okay, so enough of the self-promotion, but really, quite, honestly, if you're a fan of Halloween and autumn, you will enjoy the book. Some stories you'll connect with more than others, but I think you'll really enjoy the book. So, how long have I been talking? 42 minutes already. Oh, yeah, thank you, Donna. You know what? I better write that on my little print calendar here. Ceremonies, because I'm going to get a credit in 2 days for Audible. Donna says, don't forget to pick up the ceremonies when you have an Audible credit, Mike. It is so worth it. Yes, because it's been years since I read the ceremonies. I only wish that Dark Gods was available on Audible as well. You can listen to Black Man with a Horn, one of the novellas, because it's in one of the anthologies that Ross Lockhart edited years back. Can't remember the title, but you can probably Google it. And but I mean, I'd love to hear Children of the Kingdom, for example, on audio. I'd love it. Speaking of audio, if you are a Patreon, this might be I think this is at the $10 level and up. But I have some. You can click on the collection. You know, uh, fiction for Patreons or whatever it is. I don't know what it is. But I love, and you probably heard me say this if you've been listening to me for any length of time, but I love the H.P. Lovecraft and R.H. Barlow short story, The Night Ocean. And that is available to read, to listen to on Audible. Not on Audible, god damn it. It's available to listen to on my Patreon, damn it. Don't give the business to Audible. Uh, yeah, it's great. So, Dark Gods was just re-released. I don't believe us poor people have a chance of getting that. You know what? We talked about this on Sunday. Let's just settle this right now. I want to know how much this new release book is. $100, looks like. Is it still available? The signed deluxe edition is $100. Mark Rainey has a copy, and he won't give me his copy. Can you believe that, people? And I just gave him a nice blurb on his book. Oh, speaking of, yeah, you know what? I did want to mention him. And I'm going to post about this on my social media, which will probably do more good than this. Which publisher? Looks like Subterranean Press for Dark Gods, if that's what you're asking about. All right. Speaking of that guy who won't give me his copy of Dark Gods, Mark Rainey, also known as Stephen Mark Rainey, uh, the pre-order link for The House at Blacktooth Pond is available. At least the Kindle pre-order is. And let me give you that link right now. There you go. So there. Um, Speaking only to you rich folks out there, we know that there's many of them in late 2024, right? Next time you want to next time you want to light one of your cigars with $100 bill, instead light it with a match and buy me a copy of the Subterranean Press edition of Dark Gods. and interior art and everything. The only thing that could be better is if I had the audio edition. What, Alan? What? Oh God, I got to do that. Alan says I just checked Audible for the ceremonies. It's on a 2-for-1 credit sale, but it ends in 3 hours. Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna light your expensive cigar with $200 bills, then by all means, get me the slipcased edition. All kidding aside, I have some very nice uh, followers, listeners, Patreons who do that sort of thing for me, and I'm not trying. I really appreciate you guys for everything you've done. I won't mention names, but some of you are listening right now. Uh, Also, want to mention, I think you can get this in more than one place, but Subterranean Press does have this. The God of the Razor, Joe Lansdale. Um, it's a book of short stories starring you know who, and man, I'm using OBS. I don't know how to screen share with OBS. It might be, you know what? I should probably learn how to use this computer. Um, well, just Google God of the Razor, Joe Lansdale. Looks like a trade. Oh, Joe sent me the trade edition for 40. I was hoping he didn't send me $100 edition. Not worth that much. Um, but there's a Batman. Speaking of Batman again, why do I always come down to Batman? Why does it always come down to Batman? I wonder. Um, Alan, help me out with this. There's a Batman anthology from the late '80s, and Joe has a story in it. Uh, Subway Jack is the title. I didn't know I was going to talk about this tonight, but this is a Batman short story, and it's written a little differently. But oh man, this is probably my favorite Batman short story, and it stars the God of the Razor against the Dark Knight. It's set in October. It finalizes on Halloween night. It's amazing, and I'll tell you what, Joe is a guy who understands Batman. He really does. He understands Batman, and he really gets him right in this short story. But Joe has a new book out of Lovecraftian stories called something. Further Adventures of Batman is the anthology, right? Um, Sorry, Joe. I don't think Joe watches me, but if he did, he'd be like, dude. Mountains of Madness, I think. Oh no, it's called the Mad Mountains. Okay, you should pick that up. Joe R. Lansdale, The Mad Mountains. Joe Lansdale, Lovecraftian tales. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, right? Um, yeah, Igor, you don't really want to become your own front yard Halloween decoration, do you? That's what happens when you turn shit off early on Halloween night. So I guess I'm in trouble because my pumpkin light is on every day and night of the year except it went out today. Um, yeah, so I think on Tuesday I'm going to read this brand new Bram Stoker story. This brand new Stoker story. Came back from the dead and wrote this. This is great. But I think it was Dave that mentioned tonight listening to Ghost with Art Bell tonight. You could put on an old Mystery Theater. Um, Trying to think of some good ones off the top of my head. I Warn You Three Times is a good one. You want to go even older, The House in Cypress Canyon with the suspense radio show, The Price of Fear, starring Vincent Price, and um, uh, trying to think of my favorite one, and I'm blanking. But anyway, there you go. Lots to choose from, and oh, I pulled this out because this is one of my favorite book covers. Charles Grant, Dialing the Wind. I mean, look at that. Can't beat that. All right. I don't want to keep everybody up too late. I hope you've had a great Halloween. Uh, the important thing, above all else, is as tonight fades from October 31st into November 1st, is that you remember, as far as we are concerned, it's Halloween every night of the year and every day of the year. So remember that and stay in that spirit and you'll do all right. So happy Halloween, everyone. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you on Sunday.